I always believed that the things we hold on to, tiny pieces of cloth, faded drawings, letters written in shaky hands, carry the stories of our lives. They are not just objects. They are memories stitched into something real. So when I walked into the kitchen that quiet Thursday morning and saw my daughter-in-law, Lindsay, tossing a small pink bundle into the trash can outside, I felt something inside me snap. It wasn't just any blanket. It was my granddaughter's baby blanket. The one I knitted by hand. The one she used to grip with her tiny fingers when she slept. The one that still smelled faintly of baby powder and innocence. I froze at the window, staring as Lindsay shoved the blanket deeper into the trash bag like it was some worthless rag. She didn't notice me. She didn't care if I was watching. And just when I was about to storm outside, something caught my eye. The blanket wasn't empty. There was something inside it. Something she had wrapped and hidden before throwing it away. I felt my heart stop. At that moment I knew. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't cleaning. This wasn't a mistake. This was something far darker. Something Lindsay didn't want anyone to ever find. And that was when I realized, if I didn't uncover the truth today, someone innocent might pay the price. My name is Eleanor. I'm 72 years old, widowed, and a grandmother to the brightest little girl I've ever known, my sweet Emma. When Emma was born, I promised myself I would protect her with whatever strength I had left. My son Daniel had fallen in love with Lindsay quickly, too quickly if you ask my old bones. There was always something about that woman, sharp, cold, calculating. Not the type that shows her teeth when she smiles. The type that hides her teeth until she bites. But Daniel loved her, so I held my tongue. And for the first few years everything seemed normal enough. Until Lindsay changed. After Daniel's promotion. After the money started growing. After the stress of motherhood settled in. She grew irritated. Short-tempered. Angry at nothing. Angrier at everything. And somehow, I was always the problem. The first real sign came when I noticed she had stopped letting me babysit Emma. She used to ask me all the time. Then suddenly weeks went by. Then months. Every time I offered, she gave excuses. She's sleeping. She's sick. She's busy. But the truth revealed itself one night when I overheard her on the phone. She's old. She's forgetful. I don't trust her with Emma. One mistake and she'll ruin everything. Forgetful? Untrustworthy? I wanted to confront her, but I didn't want to push Daniel into another argument. So I stayed silent and watched. I noticed more things. The way Lindsay would snap when Emma cried. How she rushed her meals. How she criticized every little mess. Most days Emma clung to that pink baby blanket, the one I knitted before she was born. She dragged it around the house like a shield. But Lindsay hated that blanket. It's old. It's ugly. It smells. I heard her say it repeatedly. She tried to take it away. Emma would scream. So the blanket stayed. And I told myself that as long as Emma had that blanket, she still had a piece of safety. But I had no idea how wrong I was. That Thursday morning felt strange even before I saw Lindsay outside. My tea tasted different. The house felt different. Quiet, but not the peaceful kind. Lindsay was rushing around in the kitchen, stuffing things into bags, muttering to herself. Daniel had left early for work. Emma was at preschool. It was just the two of us. "Are you cleaning?" I asked gently. She didn't look at me. Didn't respond. Her movements were sharp. Hostile. Almost frantic. Then she grabbed something pink from the counter and stormed outside. I followed her to the window. And there it was. The pink baby blanket. Wrapped around something heavy. Hidden. Then thrown into the trash can with force. From the window I couldn't see what was inside. But the way she did it. The way she looked around. The way she pushed it deep into the trash. This wasn't cleaning. This was disposal. And I felt my stomach twist. So after she went upstairs I slipped outside. My hands trembled as I reached into the bag. I pulled the blanket out carefully, unfolding it inch by inch. And when I saw what was inside, my breath left my body. Inside the blanket was a small hard object, wrapped in tissue, hidden purposefully. First I thought it was a toy, or maybe a keepsake. But the moment I unwrapped it, my fingers froze. It was a positive pregnancy test. Lindsay's. I stared at it, my hands shaking uncontrollably. Another baby? Why would she hide this? Why throw it away? Why wrap it in Emma's blanket? My mind raced. Was she pregnant and didn't want Daniel to know? Was she planning something? Was she scared? Angry? Panicked? Or worse, was she trying to get rid of the evidence? I wrapped it back inside the blanket and hurried inside, my heart pounding against my ribs. I had to know the truth. And I had to protect Emma. I waited until Lindsay came back downstairs. Her face was flushed, her hair messy, her breathing heavy. "Lindsay," I said softly, "is everything okay?" She glared at me. "Do I look okay?" I stayed quiet, watching her, studying every twitch. Then she said something strange. "Nothing is going the way it should." Nothing. Should? What was supposed to happen? She paced the kitchen, muttering, "This wasn't the plan. This wasn't supposed to happen now. He's going to kill me. He, Daniel, or someone else." She didn't notice that the pink blanket was gone from the trash. But she would. Soon. And that meant I had very little time. Later that day, when Emma came home, the first thing she asked was, "Where's my blankie?" Lindsay snapped. "I threw it away. You're too old for it." Emma burst into tears. I rushed to hold her, but Lindsay yanked her away. "She'll get over it," she said coldly. I felt a wave of rage. Deep, hot, dangerous. That blanket was Emma's comfort, her safety, her emotional anchor. And Lindsay didn't care. Not about the blanket. Not about Emma. Not about anyone but herself. I knew I needed to act fast. That evening, when Lindsay left for errands, I went into her room. I wasn't proud of it, but I searched. I had to. In her closet, behind a stack of sweaters, I found a folder. Inside were bills, bank statements, medical receipts, for pregnancy appointments, recent ones, very recent. And then, my heart nearly stopped. There was a paper, bold letters at the top, paternity test request. And the father's name wasn't Daniel. It was another man's, a coworker. Lindsay was having an affair. And she was pregnant. And she was hiding it. And she was trying to erase every trace, including Emma's blanket. The only thing linking her emotional breakdown to the pregnancy test she tried to throw away. When Lindsay returned home, she was different. Calm. Too calm. Like someone who made a decision. She walked into the kitchen and said, "Have you seen Emma's blanket?" I shook my head. She stared at me. Long. Cold. Suspicious. I knew she didn't trust me anymore. She could sense it. The shift. The fear. And that made her dangerous. But I had something she didn't know about. The pregnancy test wrapped inside the blanket. I hid it in my room. And I waited. That night I watched Lindsay as she sat alone in the living room, shaking her leg, wringing her hands, checking her phone every few minutes. She wasn't worried about the blanket. She was worried about the secret inside it. She got up suddenly and went outside to the trash. Moments later I heard her voice. "No. No. No." She came back in with wild eyes. "Where is it?" she hissed. "Where is what?" I asked quietly. She stormed toward me. "You took it." I didn't move. Didn't blink. "Took what?" I repeated. She clenched her jaw so hard I thought her teeth might break. "You think you're smart. But you don't know anything." Oh, but I did. I knew everything. And it was time to protect my family. That night, after everyone slept, I made the most important phone call of my life. I called Daniel. Not to accuse. Not to blame. But to tell him the truth. I told him about the blanket. The pregnancy test. The documents. The paternity test. The money being withdrawn secretly from their joint account. First, he didn't believe me. Until I showed him the test wrapped in the blanket. His face collapsed. I had never seen my son so broken. But heartbreak wasn't the worst part. Fear was. "Mom," he whispered. "Lindsay said she wanted me to increase my life insurance months ago." I felt a chill run through me. Lindsay wasn't just cheating. She wasn't just pregnant with another man's baby. She was planning something far worse. The next morning, Daniel confronted her. Not with shouting. Not with anger. With calm truth. And that was the one thing Lindsay couldn't fight. She denied. Screamed. Lied. Cried. Then finally cracked. She confessed to the affair. Confessed she didn't want the baby. Confessed she wanted out of the marriage but feared losing everything. Money, reputation, comfort. And then she said the words that made my blood run cold. I was going to tell you eventually. After I figured out what to do with the baby. What to do. Those words echoed in my skull. Daniel stepped back from her like she was a poisonous snake. This is done, he said. You need to leave. And she did. With nothing. No custody. No access to their accounts. No right to step foot in the house again. Daniel filed for emergency separation. And Lindsay walked out of the house with the same coldness she used when she threw away Emma's blanket. But she didn't win. Not this time. Weeks passed. The house healed slowly. Emma asked about her mother. But Daniel told her the truth in gentle pieces. One afternoon I watched Emma playing on the rug, laughing, spinning, happy again. She looked up at me and asked, "Grandma, can I have my blanket back?" I smiled softly. "Of course, sweetheart." I took the blanket from where I had cleaned and folded it carefully. She hugged it tightly, burying her face in it. And for a moment, everything felt right again. Safe. Whole. Protected. I tell this story not to expose Lindsay. Not to punish her. Not to stir anger. But because sometimes the smallest things, a baby blanket, a hidden test, a grandmother's instinct, can save a family from unimaginable danger. I have lived long enough to know that secrets grow like weeds. They choke everything around them, until someone brave enough pulls them out by the root. And sometimes that brave person is a grandmother. If you're listening, remember this. Pay attention to the little things. They might save someone you love.